Alright, children, shut the fuck up. It's time for yours truly to tell a terrifying tale of tits. I don't know. I just wanted to keep the alliteration going, is all. I was a car repairman several years ago for Pixar employees, while the higher-ups, John Lasseter, who remembered the name, dick-faced Twinkies around the workplace after eating 20 specially made dick-shaped Twinkies in under a minute and 30 seconds. He also tried to the penis out of chalk. The 90s was the best decade in the history of the world. He brought his car into my shop one day after Monsters Incorporated had come out and said it was running funny. I did my usual inspection, checking tiles, checking spark plugs, checking oil levels, power steering, the whole 9 yards, until I decided to start up the car to detect anything unusual. There was what sounded like plastic clanking around in the engine. I took another look in the engine, and there sat near the coolant tank was a musty VHS cassette tape. It said "Cars" on the label, written in brown Crayola washable marker. I thought it to be some kind of car showcase video, but so I took it home with me. Big mistake. I popped the VHS into my VCR and sat down in front of my idiot box with some Disney-themed fruit snacks and began this wonderful vehicle reviewing. Little did I know that I was in for a shock that would resonate with me to this day. The first thing to pop on the screen was a note in white text on a black background that said, "Cars, copyright 2001, Pixar Animation Studios, not to be viewed by the public." So apparently this was a review of an upcoming movie from Pixar about cars. I was indeed excited about this. The story opened with heavy breathing. Focus. Speed. I am speed. I'm faster than fast. Quicker than quick. I am lightning. It then showed the protagonist of this soon to be a franchise finishing up snorting something white and powdery. What the fuck? They show a character snorting cocaine? And that cuts to Lightning McQueen while white powder is still sitting on his face, racing with other formula cars. McQueen was designed a bit different in this compared to the final product to be released just 4.5 short years later. His shape was more boxy and his racing number was 57 instead of 95. He was quickly gaining the first place spot when the antagonist, Chick Hicks, came up behind him. He also looked different. He had a more generic race car shape and a Hitler mustache-style grill. He came up behind McQueen and pushed him, sending McQueen spinning out of control and tumbling down the track. Highly realistic car parts flying everywhere, then getting run over by a single race car on the track. The music that had been playing stopped as the dust settled. The scene now completely silent as the camera slowly pans in on McQueen's mangled body. He's still alive. But barely. He's moving slowly, shakily, trying to get up. Oddly, no one's coming to his aid at all. And just letting McQueen just sit in his crashed slate, bleeding bloody blood everywhere. Now, I'm pretty sure cars cannot bleed. However, they can't talk or move on their own, or have any sentient capabilities either, so who am I to judge? It gets even freakier. After a cut to black, it cuts to McQueen in a hospital surrounded by cars in Radiator Springs. Sally, Mater, Doug Hudson, Luigi, Guido, Ramon, Flo, Red, and Lizzie were all at McQueen's bedside. He was dying from his previous injuries. His whole body was completely bent and deleted, or should I say dented. His, spoiler, or should I say spoder, was dangling off his body from one of his eyes, was gouged out, and he had bitten his tongue in half during the crash. The animation was absolutely terrible here. It looked like it was animated by someone who I had just learned how to use Autodesk Maya. It was choppy and robot-like. The shading, lighting, texturing, and everything else was in perfect order, however. Well, looks like this is the end. McQueen stated with a small, half-hearted chuckle. No one else spoke a word. Just watched as McQueen's life slowly started to fade away. You know something? If everything happened for a reason and everyone has a purpose for living, then why am I sitting here taking my last breath in my young age? If you think about it, I don't have any real purpose in this world. What happens as a result of God weeding out the bad apples? So you see, God has abandoned us, but his certain ones he hates. Why? I don't hold the answer to that question, nor does anyone else on this beautiful earth. His human-like features begin to fade, and then turn to real car features that I call normal. One by one, as the Queen spoke, features began to transform or fade completely away. Enjoy your time on Earth, everybody, for it might not last as long as you think. It cut to Sally wearing a monocle and wooden teeth, holding a Twinkie, listening to what the Queen had to say. A piece of paper with a heart with a crack down the middle appeared on Queen's face as he continued. He began to speak in tongues, what sounded to be Yiddish mixed with a lot of hint of German. Subtitle slides that were used in silent films appeared translating what he was speaking. It said, "Before I breathe my last breath, I want you to also know I have seen heaven, and I have seen hell, and I know which one I'm going to." When the slow was done showing, it cut to McQueen again, having a piece of glass for his eyes like a real-life car, and a grill instead of a mouth. He was still speaking, though it was a bit muffled. He was also holding a pine cone with googly eyes, a bow tie, and a top hat, which transformed into the Hebrew Bible. Another slide appeared showing the words, "Goodbye, everyone. I am about to enter a new world of unending suffering and pain, much like in this realm, only many times worse." And that cuts McQueen again, but it's a picture of the real-life version of McQueen passed on to the hospital, much in the style of something from the first 3 seasons of SpongeBob. He has Star of David etched onto the driver's side door, and was what I think would be dead. The man who lets out a belch of sadness was a sadist. Most heart-wrenching belch I'd ever heard in my 39 years of life.